Have you ever found yourself lying awake, replaying the day's stress in your head, and wishing you could just switch it all off? I've been there. But what if I told you there's a way to calm your mind, reset your focus, and even improve your performance, all without any fancy gadgets or apps? Just stay with me, because today I'm going to share how visualization can transform your life, like it did mine. Now, I need to take you clear back to my residency days. Sometimes it feels like yesterday, but many times it feels like a lifetime ago. Sleep was a rare luxury. Shifts would last over 24 hours, and running on fumes was just part of the job. In my first year, I struggled, and I struggled hard. I'd finish running a code in the ICU, and adrenaline would be pumping, my head would be spinning. I'd head back for the call room and fall into an uncomfortable cot. But my mind would be racing through all the events and every mistake that I feared I may have made. Hours would pass, and just when I would finally start to doze off, bang, there would be another call. But then in my second year, something unexpected happened that changed everything, and it was really by accident. At that time in my life, I'd become somewhat fascinated with architecture, and I was dreaming about possibly building a modest home for myself after residency. It was definitely a different economy, and even broke residents could dream. I started planning everything in my head. What the floor plan would be, what materials I would use, the tiny details like the placement of light switches. And when I'd lie down in that call room, I'd start to daydream about that. Instead of replaying the chaos of the ICU, I'd be visualizing that house. So here's how it worked for me. I'd close my eyes and I'd imagine myself walking up to the house. I'd see the front facade of the house, the porch, the color of the front door, and I'd open the door, and in my mind I'd step inside. I could basically feel the oak hardwoods under my feet. I would think about the perfect, pristine white drywall. My hand would instinctively reach for a light switch that I was going to put on the right side. Every detail was so vivid, and it had to be because I was planning for what this would be like in real life. At first, I'd walk through the entire house in my mind 2 or 3 times, sometimes before I'd eventually fall asleep. But then gradually I noticed something incredible starting to happen. I'd be starting to fall asleep faster. I'd barely get to the kitchen before I found myself dozing off. And by the end of residency, all I had to do was visualize myself walking onto that front porch, and I'd be out like a light. It was helping within minutes, and it was all by accident. What I didn't realize at the time was that I was teaching myself visualization. It's a technique that's not just great for sleep, but it's also for managing stress and enhancing focus. So how and why does it work? When you imagine something vividly, your brain engages much the same way it would if you were experiencing it in real life. And this practice can calm your nervous system. It lowers your heart rate, and it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is that rest and digest response that we all have. It's like tricking your body into relaxing, even if your mind has been racing just minutes before this. Visualization can also give your mind something positive to think about and focus on, instead of rehashing stressful events or catastrophizing about future events that haven't even happened. You're creating a calm and controlled scenario that your brain can latch onto. And it doesn't matter if you're not into house building, because I never even ended up building that house. This technique works for anything that you can imagine in vivid and peaceful detail. I want to break it down so you might be able to try it for yourself. First thing is to set the scene. You'll need to find a quiet place where you can sit down or lie down. And you want to take a few deep breaths. Just try to relax yourself, relax your body. Next, you're going to choose your visualization, and you want to pick something that's a calming place or scenario. This part's really important. And I'll tell you, ironically, I had actually been exposed to visualization earlier than residency. In college, the coaches on my team had brought in some experts from the psychology department to teach us visualization. The entire team would lay down on the grass, and we'd hear a soft, soothing voice with our eyes closed as they told us to visualize ourselves on a beach. They would tell us to feel the sun on our faces and the sand on under our skin, and the sound of the ocean waves gently coming into shore. The problem for me was that I was a low-income kid from Western Pennsylvania. I had never been on vacation, let alone to the beach. And I simply couldn't connect with it. So it never worked for me. So whatever you choose, make it something vivid. Make it something you can genuinely connect with. A hunter might be climbing into a tree stand and watching the tree line for subtle movements in the leaves. A traveler may be walking down a crumbly sidewalk in a historic town, looking into the shops at knickknacks and souvenirs. The point is that it can be anything, as long as it's something that you can picture and experience in detail. You'll want to engage with as many of your senses as possible. Picture everything, like what the ground would feel like under your feet, what you hear, what you smell. Imagine the figures, the fixtures, the colors. Even the small details and the placement of objects become important in the level of detail that you're visualizing. If you can incorporate any motion or movement, that can be helpful as well. For me, it was the act of walking up onto the front porch, opening the front door and walking inside. This movement gives your mind something to focus on. But don't worry about doing it perfectly. Especially early on, your mind may start to wander, and that's okay. Just gently bring your mind back to the visualization, the scene you've set, and begin again. If you do this repetitively, over time you will notice that it becomes easier and easier to stay focused, just like you notice that effects become quicker and easier to achieve. For me, visualization started as a survival mechanism during some of the most grueling years of my life. But over time, it became a lot more than that. It's a tool that I still use today to help me stay focused, to help me relax in times of stress, and especially to help me fall asleep. I'd love for you to give it a try. Whether you're a first responder coming off a tough shift, someone working in healthcare that has a lot of stress, or just someone trying to bring some calm into their life, visualization can be a game changer. Drop me a comment below and let me know if you've tried visualization and how it went for you. I'd love to hear about your experience. And if you found this helpful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so we can keep bringing you these practical and life-changing tips. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.